How do labor rights affect migrant workers? If you're curious about how labor rights impact migrant workers, you're in the right place. Let's break down the details to understand this important issue. Migrant workers, who are people working in a country they are not nationals of, often face significant challenges when it comes to their labor rights. One of the main issues is unfair recruitment practices. Many migrant workers are charged fees, required to put up a bond, or given misleading information about the job they're applying for. This can lead to a cycle of debt and exploitation. Another critical problem is the risk of forced labor. Migrant workers, especially those without legal permission to stay in the host country, are more likely to be trapped in forced labor. This can involve the retention of identity documents, debt bondage, and restrictions on movement. These conditions are indicators of modern slavery and are particularly prevalent in sectors with weak labor protections. Labor rights violations also include unequal access to employment rights. Migrant workers often receive lower pay and poorer working conditions compared to their domestic counterparts. They may face discrimination in the workplace, including racism and unequal treatment in recruitment processes, working conditions, and access to Social Security and legal protections. The right to form and join trade unions is another area where migrant workers face challenges. Many are denied this right due to their legal status or the legal frameworks in the host country. This makes it difficult for them to protect their interests and negotiate better working conditions. Migrant workers also struggle with restrictions on their freedom of movement. Employers may confiscate their passports or other travel documents, severely limiting their ability to move freely. This can make it hard for workers to leave exploitative situations or return home. The International Convention on the Protection of the Rights of All Migrant Workers and Members of Their Families, ICRMW, is a key instrument that aims to protect these rights. It ensures that migrant workers have the right to be free from slavery and forced labor, the right to just and favorable working conditions, and the right to an adequate standard of living. The convention also emphasizes the importance of equal treatment between migrant workers and nationals in terms of pay, working conditions, and access to social services. In many countries, the legal and policy frameworks are inadequate, failing to provide sufficient protections for migrant workers. This can lead to poor enforcement of labor laws, high levels of corruption, and a lack of strong laws against labor abuse. For instance, in some Gulf states, the kafala sponsorship system ties a migrant worker's legal status to their employer, making it difficult for them to change jobs or leave the country without the employer's permission. To address these issues, reforms are necessary. For example, making temporary skill shortage visas portable can help migrant workers escape exploitative employers. Strengthening the enforcement of workplace and migration laws and closing loopholes that prevent migrants from pursuing underpayment claims are also crucial steps. In summary, labor rights significantly impact the lives of migrant workers, often leaving them vulnerable to exploitation, forced labor, and discrimination. Ensuring these workers have equal rights and protections is essential for their well-being and for maintaining fair labor practices globally.